Hi everyone. Hope you can hear and see me clearly. So again, I'm Pat's Laurel. So I've been with Schoolabs. I'm not an employee, but I've been connected to School for about 2 years now. And my first encounter with them really, I'm not trying to upsell or anything, but it started my pretty much my journey. So just to share my story with you, I am only 22 years old. And I can say that scholars really helped me to really kickstart my career to where I'm now, and pretty much helped me to become the person that I am striving to be. So when I attended school, like I can't really hindi ko naisip na I'll be here teaching code along because I was also once you guys na nag-attend lang ng code along and was intrigued. And now I'm the one who's speaking. It's actually my second or third time here. But yeah, just want to share that your decision to be here is good. I mean, pwede ba kang kumain ngayon pero you still chose to attend this and learn basics of Python. So that's a good step. So before I start no with the actual proper, may I see a raise of hands? Um, People that tried programming in general, whatever language it is, ano lang, raise hands. Or in the chat, you can say what programming language you tried. No, I just want to see, survey the room. What programming languages are you familiar with? If it's Python, that's good. This session would be pretty easy for you if it's Python. Pero if it's anything, you can chat it sa chat. So I just want to see ano yung mga current na alam ng attendees. So may nag-raise hands pero wala nag-chat. Punta kayo may guys. Okay. Python, C++, or SQL. SQL, very basic chat GPT assisted Python. Yeah, it's fine. Even in my job, I use chat GPT. So Python, C++, nice. So for people that knows Python, I'm not sure if I will even call this a refresher or yeah, but HTML, JavaScript, SQL, Python. Oh, we have a developer here. Yeah. Okay, so I can see na medyo maraming marunong mag-code. That's nice. And for the others, it's all good. We're here to learn. But for people that knows how to code, this would be a breeze for you because if you saw the post Miss Collabs, it's like introduction to Python and Jupyter Notebook. So if you're planning to enroll to Schoolabs, this is the main tools that you work with. Python as a programming language and Jupyter Notebook as your interface where you can actually code. So let me just share my screen. Pretty much this will be a very quick intro lang for what you can expect on what you will learn on on Schoolabs if you would want to join. Sorry, post ko lang ng chat GPT ko. Okay. So, pretty much this is an introduction on tools, parang 101. So, it would be a Python and Jupyter Notebook 101. But Jupyter Notebook is just a place where you put code. No, so I put here, this is a resource that you can run anywhere, or I mean in your uh browser. So let me know guys if you can access this. I think I made this one public. Yeah, so you're a viewer. So if you access the links, you can just go file and then where is it? I think you can duplicate it. I can't duplicate it because it's my own. I'm not sure, but yeah. So you can duplicate it and save a copy in your drive so that uh you can code along. So Yeah. So can anyone confirm if they can duplicate it or interact with it with their own computers? It's like a thumbs up or something. If you can access the link and duplicate it. This is for people na naka-computer, I would assume. Uh, right, right. Sige, sige. So I'll start na. So for this first notebook, so there would be two. No. Ayan, thanks, Juan. So he direct message me. So thank you for confirming. Uh, so for this notebook, pretty much this is an introduction or basic concepts in programming, which we'll be using is Python. So we will just talk about integers or numbers, um, storing stuff so that you can reuse it later, something like that. And we'll also talk about different data types that Python supports. So most of this, if you've done programming on any language, this is just like a translation on what you've used before. But for beginners, it's all good. I'm here to help. So other than that, we will also use Jupyter Notebook, and then we will do some, I would say, the gap between a beginner and an intermediate developer is learning functions, which is like you code once, run it anywhere. So something of a premise like that. Yeah. So let's start with like some definitions. So Python is a general purpose programming language. It's one of the most famous languages out there. And it's general purpose because I know most of you guys discovered Scholabs because they do data science and data analytics. And yes, you can use Python for both of them, but since it's a general purpose programming language, you can use it in software engineering, data engineering, and currently in my work, I'm using it with um, software engineering with AI. So software engineering and AI engineering as well. So it's all around pretty much. Yeah. So that's good. So that's it's a good language to learn now because you can use it in multiple things. Um Next, what is Jupyter Notebook? So Jupyter Notebook is just like a notepad where you can type your code and then make it run at the same on the same place. So it's really good for note taking, but uh don't confuse this with code that goes in the internet. Like for example, Facebook or Google, they are not programmed inside this notebook. They're programmed in a dedicated place, that will make them useful. But for this, since this is an introduction, it's and on its name, notebook, it's good for notes. You can put your notes there. You can also put code that you can execute later on. So you can see there are two types of blocks. No, so first block is this. So if you're trying to follow me, or you're in the your own notebook, if you double click on this block of text, it will open up something. So this is called a markdown. So for people that's familiar with HTML, basically everything you see on your browser, 100% consists of HTML. Like it, some parts of it, most parts of it. So markdown is a similar thing with HTML. It's not the same thing, but it displays code that text in a certain format. So you can see here we have hashtag, and then when it renders, you will have something like a header. What is Jupyter Notebook? Something like that. So you can also add links and whatnot. So that's good with Jupyter Notebooks because you can do markdown from programming, and it's not a programming thing, but you can write in markdown, which is good for note taking. So for people that use Obsidian, it's a note taking app. If you've used it, it's the same thing, almost the same thing. So another code block here is a code cell. So this one is, as you can see, it renders differently. Ito, meron siyang text, like you can just read it, highlight it, or whatever. But this, you can have like display button, and you run it. There's something going on, loading. It does some stuff. So this is a code cell. You can put your code here and execute it immediately. So an example here, we use print. So for people that's new with Python, this would be your first um thing that you will learn, which is printing stuff. So pretty much what you will do, I'll try to type it with you guys. So you just write print and put an open and close parenthesis. So what Google Colab does, kapag nag-type ka ng open parenthesis, it closes it immediately. So that's handy. But for some environments, remember na hindi laging ganun. Like when you type an open parenthesis, ganyan lang siya. So you need to close it. So remember to close your parenthesis. So inside this parenthesis, you can add a single quotation, a double quotation. Uh, you can add those, and then inside those quotation marks, you can add your text. So you can't really say that you've learned programming if you've never print like a hello world. So pretty much this is ito yung introduction, no? First thing that you learn in any programming language is to how to write hello world, and then you can add it in your resume na. So you can write that down in your resumes now. You know Python. You've done print. So yep. Uh, Here I just added this is code cell. If you if you hindi nyo nakikita syempre ano siya keyboard shortcut, but you can click shift enter. Click shift enter ba? Yeah, shift enter. So you can click shift enter and it will run on automatically without clicking display button. So I've explained this markdown cell. It's not a code cell, but it's a way to display text in a certain format. So if you double click this, you can see the different uh, styling. So I won't deep dive into this. You can just take notes on this notebook. You can see it, and you don't need to memorize this. It's just something that's good to know. So let's get started with actual programming. So if you've done programming when it started in 2020, they will always describe computers, at least for around that time, when I started learning programming back in 2020, a lot of videos and books that I read and watched, laging sinasabi na computers are just calculators with a brain, something along those lines. So since it's a calculator, the most basic thing that a programming language can do is to do math. So you can see here in Python, um, you can it's a calculator. You can put 1 plus 1. So 1 plus 1. So you can see here, lumabas pa rin siya without me printing it. So ganon si Python. So ay ganon si Jupyter Notebook rather. So but the caveat is, for example, I have a 1 plus 1 here and another line 1 plus 1. No, let's change it. 1 plus 3. It will only print the last um the last line. So if you want to print both, you would need to do something like this, wrap both of them inside the print statement. So now you can print both of them. So but if you're just doing something fast, you can just you want a fast calculation like 1 plus 2 3 times blah blah blah. Do that. Just learn it in one line. You don't need to print. But if you want to display both or more than two or more than one, anything more than one, you need to do print statements. So another thing with Python, other than it does math, of course it does um, subtraction like 5 minus 3. Let's put it in print. 5 minus 2. It can do multiplication, 6 times 8. can do division using the slash forward. Nalilito pa rin ako dun, guys. Like 50. What type of slash is this? Pa-answer naman sa chat kasi hindi ko rin alam. Divided by 2. So when you print that, ayan, gagawin niya yung proper arithmetic. So I think this is a forward slash. Yeah, sure. But yeah. So that's arithmetic with Python. So it also follows PEMDAS. So you can see here 1 plus 2 times 3, it will multiply 2 and 3 first, then add 1. And again, PEMDAS, I'll just put this one out. So you can see 1 plus 2 is 3 times 3, it's 9. So again, a similar thing, it will only print the last line. Oh, there's a note here. Pinangunahan ko siya. So notebook shows only the last statement in each cell. To inspect all of them, we may use print. So, all right. So that's pretty basic. It's just printing. It's just math. Anyone knows math. Anyone can type print. So there are other operations. So we have here division. So let's try to explore one by one. So I put print 17 divided by 3. So if you print that one out, you will see 5.6667. So there's decimal. So I put a note here. If you divide an integer to another integer, it will return to a float. So a float is just a decimal number. It's you can think of it simple as that. It's a decimal number. But if you want to be more technical, float is not exactly the same as decimal. Okay. So you will encounter things like those when if you got hired in a bank, maybe someday. I know a lot of people got hired in Security Bank after doing TSF. So two of my classmates got hired in Security Bank after data science fellowship. So I learned that they are using different tools for decimals because the floating value is not that accurate. Okay. So that's that. So if you divide two integers, it returns to a float, so or decimal. But if we put two slashes, oops, where's the slash? Two slashes, it will divide and return a whole number. Let's put 15, be 6. Nice. Let's put 20. Okay. So if you can observe, it did floor division, as I put here, floor division. So it will always round down. Another thing I put here, you need to return float. It will return float when one of the values are float. So even if you do floor division, it will always be a float because one of them is a float. So it imposes that. Okay. So we also have a modulo operator. So modulo takes the remainder of the operation. So if we say, oops, what's happening? Okay, if 15 modulo 2. So this one should be 1, I think. Yeah. Because 15 divided by 2, 7, and there's a remainder of 1. And then you can see here the asterisk, double asterisk. So single asterisk is multiplication, but double asterisk is an exponent. So 2 raised to the power of 7. So just like any other calculator, you can have your negative numbers here. So yeah, so that's pretty basic. Hope everyone can follow. Nice. Okay, so next, variables. Variables here are just places to store values that you can use anywhere in that file or wherever you import it. So you won't learn importing, I think, here, but I will show you how you can reuse something that you declared once, but you can use it anywhere. So you can see here, these things are only executed here and will only be executed here. Like the result here, you can't really take it and put it anywhere. I mean, you can copy it, but you will copy it one by one. So variables are ways to is a way for you to store values. So let's say I have my age, which is 22. Am I 22? Yeah, I am 22. It's 22. I can do something like age. What would be my age after 1 year? So I want so it's age plus one. So I would be 23 next year. So you can see I put age here, but I am not restrained to only access age here because I can also access it here. I can even put it on top and print age, but that's not good practice. Yeah. Like, it successfully executed, but you can see there's a line. Age is not defined. So, pero it's still executed kasi na-run ko na si age dito sa baba. Na-run ko na si age. So, na-declare ko si age dito even if I run it above it since I already um, declared it here, magagamit ko na siya anywhere. But that's not really good. Make sure na, just like in a notebook, if you're taking notes, you want your notes to be chronological as much as possible from top to bottom. So that's just very much the same here. So, balik tayo sa example that I put in the notebook. So let's say we have tax. So you can see, you can even put operations inside a variable. So you can see here 12.5 divided by 100 is the tax, and we have the price of 100.50. I just run that. Oh, there's a dog. Okay. So yeah, so if you run this, you can see that there's nothing going on because I didn't print, I didn't type it again. But if you want to like maybe print only price, you can do something like that. So you will see price, but if I just declared them, they won't be there won't be prints, walang prints. So in this example, when I do price times tax, you will have 12.5625, and that just shows na yung code, yung piece of variable here, you can use it anywhere, compound it with other variables to make new variables or maybe new results, and yeah, that's the building block. That's the building block of a certain file. In this case, Python Jupyter Notebook. So another weird trivia here. So kanina 'di ba na-run na natin si age? Kahit na dinelete natin yung declaration ni age, as long as na-run siya, it would still be possible to run cells na may age. So ano na yan? Tip lang, pero I'm just fooling around. So, ayan. So I just put here naming conventions. Though these are just suggestions. So in tech in general, you will always see best practices. There are best practices that really you should follow, but some of these conventions, best practices are organization specific. So here, uh, some of these are required, like variable names in Python should start with letters. You can create a variable called 1D. It will return an error. Yeah. It should always start with a character. So that's an actual convention because you need to follow it. And some of it are here. This is what I'm trying to uh, say. So variables should have descriptive names. So for example, I have here A is 50 you don't really know what A is. So it's best practice to indicate what A is. Maybe the number of apples, no? 50. But A is non-descriptive, so it's always a good idea to put descriptive name on it. So here, another good point, certain words are not allowed to be variable names kasi ginagamit sila nung programming language. So a good example here is si try. So makikita nyo naman yan. For example, a type try. Nag-iba yung kulay. Unlike TR, color white. Pero TRY, nagiging violet. Kasi it's a word na ginagamit sa Python, which is a reserved keyword ang tawag. So let's proceed. No? So some other data types. So kanina, so far we've learned two. Meron tayong ganito yung characters. My name is Pats. Tawag dito string. We have an integer, which is, let's say I'm 22 years old. We have a float. Float. Okay, nag-iiba kulay. So hindi ko gagawin. Pero pwede yan ang alam ko. Pero I won't. Float. Underscore lang. Wala na akong isip. Float. Ano ba? Laman ng bank account ko, 9.2 pesos. Yan. Yan. So, ayun yung tatlong na alam nating data types. Let's proceed to the next one, which is Boolean. So, si Boolean data type, literally true or false. So, for people that took not data science, computer science, or any language related to discrete course, any course na may discrete math, this is easy. This is just discrete math. So, you have true or false. So, ayun. I'm not sure if I want to deep dive on this, but si or, if may isang true, it will always be true. So true or true is true, true or false is true, false or false, false. So ano na siya, parang kapag may isang ganito, okay na, kahit hindi okay yung isa, okay na yung buong statement. Pero si and, kailangan parehong true. Kapag may isang false, wala na. So, yeah. So meron pa isang operator, si not, which negates yung true or false. So if you do not true, I'm not sure if you can do this. I don't do this really. Apparently, pwede pala, no? So not true is true because not true is false and not false is true. Okay. So Boolean data types is important kasi may mga ganito tayong type of scenarios. So let's say x is equal to 6. So hindi siya descriptive. Sabihin na lang natin money is equal, meron akong 500 pesos, tapos meron akong item, kunyari, Jordans. Tapos di ba mga 10,000 yun? So kaya ko bang bilhin yung Jordans? So kapag si Jordan, yung Jordan shoes, mas malaki sa money. True. So mali. Dapat money greater than Jordans. Just proof na mas mahal yung Jordan sa pera ko. So, can I buy in Jordans? False. Kasi yung money ko less than Jordans. So, something like that. So, another thing, money greater than, less than or equal to 4 is false. So, another thing, we can do chaining, no? So, mauunang magawa yung sa parenthesis. And then, ayan. So, you can see here, money is greater than or equal to 5. So, si money, 500 siya. So, you have true. And money is less than 7, which is false. So, when I run that, it should be false. Ayan. So, hopefully, gets pa so far. I believe, madali to. I believe in you guys na gets nito. But if you have questions, please chat lang. Ayan. So, in programming as well, kung paano ginawa yung Python na programming language, I can't say this is true for all programming language. Si true, ang value niya underneath, no? ng programming language is 1. So true is equal to 1 and false equal to 0. 1 plus true is 2 kasi true, ang value niya is 1. So itong double equal sign, ibig sabihin niyan equaling. Equal yung dalawang value. Kasi 'di ba if you remember, kapag naglagay ka ng 1 equal 1, parang ina-assign mo si 1 sa 1. Nakakabulol. Pero 'di ba ganun mag-assign ng variable like var 1, 2, 3. But yung condition equal siya. Ayan. So let's proceed to building functions and using mga built-in functions. So if you've heard the term, no, do not rebuild the wheel, like do not reinvent, sorry. Yeah, do not reinvent the wheel para doon yung mga built-in functions. So for example, we want a function that add two powers. So medyo ang pangit nung example, no? Maybe gagawin natin ng addition, like add. Tapos it takes in two values. So as you remember, we can simply do add like 1 plus 1. But here we want to learn how to create a user-defined function. So you start by saying def. So sa mga tutorial sabihin define. So define a function and then the name of the function, which we'll call add. And then the add function takes in two values. Like you can add two numbers. I mean, you can add multiple ones, but for this example, we'll only add two numbers. So let's say num1, num2, and then proceed with a colon. Once you press enter, automatic indentation yan. You can see that. It indents. I think two spaces to one, two. Yeah, two spaces. But it's automatic naman for this, don't worry. So you can do num, so result, you can do result, num1 plus num2, return result. So let's say we want to use that, no? We will simply do add and then put two numbers, 5 and 6. So 11. So another thing that you can do, so dito two lines. Pero pwede nyo namang i-one line lang if simple operation lang naman. So you do return num1 plus num2. Pwede yan. Kapag simple lang, but I don't recommend it for complex functions, no? Like, maangas tignan na isang line lang yung code mo. Pero if after 3 weeks, hindi mo na mabasa yung code mo, wala siyang sense. So, very important, readability ng code. So here, meron lang akong function na ito medyo complex, no? Nag-a-add siya ng square and ng cube ng number. Yan. So 4 squared plus 4 cubed is 80. So ayun. Pwede mo rin paikliin ng ganito. So, ito kanina, mga user-defined functions. This one, mga built-in. So, ito yung sinasabi ko, import. No? You can import math and then you can use yung mga functions inside the math library package. Apparently, it's a module. Yeah, so whichever switch naman, as long as something, meron code yan somewhere na you can import in your code. So before it doesn't exist in your code, but now it exists. But ito si math, it's already built in on any Python version. So if you have a Python in your machine, like hindi totoo nga like if may Python programming language here sa machine, meron ng math yan. So if you want to take the square root, sa Python module, meron kang math.square na function. So it takes in one number. So it sqrt. It takes the square. Another thing, if gusto mong square root lang yung tawag, kasi kanina gumawa tayo ng function, nag-add tayo, ganyan lang, very simple, no problem. We can also do something na from math, import square root. So in this case, you can only use yung square root na square root, function ni math. Let's do 25 as well. So it's the same. No? Same lang. So ayan si square root. Uh, siya lang yung pwedeng gamitin ng pag ganito. Pero yung iba pang function, like, ano ba, math.ceil 4.57. I think may ganitong function. If ayan. So it rounds up a number, 4.7. So if you do 4.3, magiging 5 pa rin. So you can see na si math.ceil, gagana siya ng ganito, pero si ceil, mag-error to as long as di ko to ni-run. Na-run ko na kasi to. So, ayun. Di ko siya ma-demo ng tama kasi na-run ko na. But, this one naman, from math, import asterisk, ibig sabihin yan, ini-import mo lahat. So, for people na nakapag-SQL, no? SQL, potato. Yung asterisk, it just says all. So, from math, import all functions inside the math library, module. So, in this case, pwede kong gamitin si square root, pwede kong gamitin si ceiling, 24.5. Pwede kong gamitin si floor, 4.9. Mga ganyan. Ayan. So, marami pa iba. You won't need to memorize. Just look up, like, Google na lang or ChatGPT how to do round down. No? Ayan. So, uh, I'm not sure if I have enough time, no? But what I want for you guys to do is to do this functions here, no? So if anyone meron ng sagot here na parang na-board kayo kanina kasi alam niyo na 'to, share niyo naman yung code niyo if gusto niyo lang naman. So other than that, pretty much ayun lang naman yung gusto kong ituro for today, no? Ito yung tool, Python. Jupyter Notebook is the place where you will write your code kapag you join TSF. It's something that you can expect. And yung instructors din, they do live coding kapag tinuturuan kayo. So, it's something if you're into that, no? Na parang hindi lang nanonood ng YouTube videos, may accountability, may pressure kasi nagpaparecite yung instructors. So, it's a fun place to be in. So, assignment ko sa inyo guys is to do these functions. Yeah, so may mga ano naman dito, instructions. And then I think doon sa items na binigay ni Kerith, yung bit.ly link, andun lahat ng code, even yung answers ko here. So, may isa pang notebook doon na may lesson. So, palibre ko na yun sa inyo and may mga exercises din doon. And meron din ako nung answer in case na-stuck kayo dun sa certain exercise. So, I think that's all for me. Ayun, may pinost din si Kerith link. So, ayun yung mga ginamit ko na when I was starting out with data, AI, stats. So, those are the things that I tried to run through, no, nung nag-start ako. And those are very helpful to supplement as I went through data science fellowship as well. So, yeah, I hope you learned. I won't say a lot because it's just basics, but hopefully it's a good kickstart to pick your interest. And thank you so much for inviting me.
Thank you, Pat. If you have any questions, just send them in the Dory link. We will be answering those later on also. Yeah, and I hope this is a great springboard for you guys. So if you are interested in learning more about Python, you can go ahead and check like different resources online and these resources that Pat's already recommend. So please strike while the iron is hot, ika nga nila. So let's see. So I've said earlier that Python is the gateway to learning more about data science because it's easy to learn, it's flexible, and it opens up lots of job opportunities. And another way for you to become a data scientist, of course, you can learn by yourself, but we don't want you guys to be on your own, and we want you to learn in a fun way in a community. So what better way to do that as well is to go into one of our programs. It's called the Data Science Fellowship, and this is how it looks here. The Data Science Fellowship is really, really good for everyone who is trying to learn data science, but kulang ang oras nila. It's actually less than 4 months to complete, much shorter than a master's degree, and you can take it after work hours. You see here there are different kinds of topics, which can really kickstart your data science career if you're interested to do that. You'll be able to complete projects that you can really include into your portfolio, which can really impress your employers in the future, because it's very rare that courses would give you this kind of opportunity to build your portfolio. And another thing to consider is, it's very simple to get into our program. You just have to take our free assessment online, and you can know your standing as a data aspirant. And afterwards, you can get to talk to us through an interview. We'll get to know like what are your reasons in taking the boot camp, and then you can ask us questions. And then, of course, you can then settle your payment only when you're ready and when you are sure about our program. Of course, we have a scholarship as well. If you're interested to learn about that, you can go into our link here. But if you're not going into scholarship, you can pay for it upfront in installments. So you can get to ask us about that also through email. I'll provide the email later on. And you may be wondering, like, where do our graduates work? So they work at different kinds of companies like Kumu, Shopee, Uber, um, and these are great companies actually, where you can actually practice your expertise in data science in the future. And we have lots of company partners that we can connect you to after graduating from the boot camp. If you're really interested to get into the data science fellowship of ours, April 20 is the scholarship application deadline. April 29 is the assessment deadline. That's the free assessment. And April 30 is the last day of interviews. May 10 is orientation. We start at May 13. So if you have any questions, burning questions, you can send them here at admissions@escolabs.com. So before we move forward to our Q&A, I'd like to ask everyone to, answer our feedback poll here, if that would be okay with you guys. So go ahead and answer so that we will know where we are standing as well in terms of our events. And please let us know which topics you want to talk about in the future, much like Python. Maybe you want to learn about SQL or SQL or potato, just like what Pat said earlier. And yeah, while you're answering that, you can send your questions here on the Dory link, and we'll be answering those while we still have time. And it's actually a jam-packed evening, but we'll see if you have any questions for us, and we'll try to answer those. Send them in the chat. Any questions, guys? Okay. Someone's asking here, Pats, what is the biggest difference between what a data analyst does and what a data scientist does? Maybe answers from Lesman or Pats would be great. Okay, since we got actual data analysts here, go Pats. All right.
Yeah, so I've been in both positions, so I can answer it in a way
Thank
that
you.
I've experienced it. So I was once a data analyst. No, most of the things that I've done is create reports. So the tools that I've used, Power BI. So you just need something that you're good with visualization, data visualization. Sorry, nabubulol na ako. So kahit anong tool, but you can only join quite a few companies depending sa tool na alam mo. So kasi na ano nabentahan na yan eh. Parang yung sa company ko nabentahan na ni Microsoft ng Power BI. So some companies baka nabentahan ng ibang bagay. So that's data analytics, mostly reports, Excel, number crunching. A data scientist would differ from company to company. Lesmond can share his, but on my end, data engineering heavy yung pagkaka-data scientist ko. But may mga ibang data scientists na parang data analyst na may predictive. Like, nagpe-predict sila ng stuff. Kasi si data analytics, parang nagde-describe sila. Like, ilan yung revenue. Kapag data scientist, may ibang data scientist na how much revenue for the next quarter. Ganun. So, Lesman, if you want to share yours, kasi sa akin medyo engineering heavy. Putting one data to another, from one place to another. Parang ganun yung akin. So, maybe kasi yung kay Lesman medyo exciting.
Grabe na exciting. But yeah, so again, as I mentioned, I'm now working as a data scientist at Angkas. And in my experience with data science, kasi what we've been doing right now, without straightforward breaking any NDAs, syempre secrets namin yan. But what we derive, similarly to a data analyst, we derive business impact from data, but the approach towards it is different. Now, as mentioned a bit by Pats, if you have actual data na and you just create reports on it, you create graphs, visualizations, that's a data analyst job. That's a data analyst's job. Pero a data scientist uses these certain techniques that are restricted specifically to data scientist. Not like restricted, but it's really within the definition of a data scientist. And these are techniques na gagamitin with and ituturo during this cohort. So, um, things like machine learning, and you will also be doing AI, and I believe you will also be doing generative AI na rin. So, uh, and the way these things differ is halimbawa, um, you may use normal if halimbawa an analyst's report would look something like, oh, this is a list of the customers that spend the most amount of money for our services. That's an analyst's job. Pero if you want to predict like, oh, these are customers that we are assuming will churn in the future, that will provide higher or otherwise provide higher uh value for us kasi they look like they are going to be solid customers. So that variation in technique lang talaga. So, analyst is you analyze what you already have. Data scientist is more on the predictive side, but also use not limited to predictive, but also these techniques nga na very more mathematically heavy, like and some mathematics and statistically heavy, like halimbawa, right now, I've worked with a data analyst to provide a report, but the way he did it, he used an analyst's approach, which simply just uses like um using quartiles to segment the customers. I've used a model to segment the customers that way. And it's not necessary na my way is better, but both of us combined, these are the things that will provide the best insights for our stakeholders. So yeah, if you personal preference, enjoyed data science more kasi it's more coding heavy. Don't get me wrong, analyst is still coding heavy, but let's just say mas broad they are disjoint, a little disjoint, but the skill set for a data scientist is more attuned to me. So personal bias lang yan, but don't get me wrong, an analyst's job is still very fun, but you work with current data. A scientist can work with future predictive data. Yeah, so and in any case, if you want more specifications than that, please connect with me or Pat's lang on LinkedIn. Our literal names are flash on screen. So, yeah, feel free to reach out to us para masagot pa namin further. All right,
Nice,
thank you.
nice, nice. I think we have a final question. See, someone here is asking like, what kind of stats do you normally? This question is actually, sorry, Pat. Medyo sikat din si Andres right now. But what kind of stats do you normally use as a data scientist to make those kinds of predictions? Mostly inferential stats like regression ba, or are there more that you usually use? So maybe you can answer this briefly, Ren. Thank you, thank you.
I guess me and Pat can share this because we've had different use cases for data science. So in my case right now, the projects that I've worked with are regarding forecasting. And if you think about it, forecasting is essentially just a series of regressions. So that's one. There is all we've also worked with right now I'm working with clustering, and the exact models I've used are KNN, sorry, yeah, KNN or K modes depending on the data set. There's also DB scan. So all of these are, yeah, so the type of statistics that you'll be doing are actually very broad. Pretty much all the types. There's also, depending on the testing, like some methodologies really deep dive on these, let's say, correlations, so p-values, and yeah, so on and so forth. There's like pretty much there's a use case for every stat thing you could know about, depending on which model, which techniques, and so on and so forth.
So maybe Pats can also add a little if you like.
Yeah, I'll try to remember what it's 5 months ago when I was data scientist. I think most of the things that I built there revolves around creating recommender engines. So recommender engines are pretty much when you go to Lazada, you search a basketball, tomorrow you will be bombarded with ads na puro basketball or sports related. So things like those, but our industry is something na, what do you call this? Short stay real estate. So parang mga Airbnb. So Airbnb clients, Airbnb tenant, Airbnb property owners yung clients namin. So we try to optimize or recommend how to make a better copy, how to make a better series of image, um, what pricing is good. So ano dito, medyo forecasting rin. What pricing is good sa Pasko? Is it higher? Is it lower than normal? So things like those are things na consider. So I can't share much kasi signed in the NDA on how we implemented that. But uh the general idea is recommendation engine. It's very valuable kahit saan company kayo. If you can create a project, anything in data science, recommender engine is something that's valuable. Another thing is prediction with simple regression, like Andres said. So those two are really good things that you can start with, even just watching a tutorial online and use it in your specific use case.
Thank you so much. Thank you so much, Pats and Andres. So we really do appreciate your detailed answers. And just to remind everyone, so if you have already signed up on our website, so great job for doing so. If not yet, I really do hope you can also sign up. So you will find there different modules that will help you to prepare for your data journey if you're interested to do that also. And as well, we have a free assessment here on screen. You can take that so that you know which parts of your data self you need to improve on. Yeah, and we hope to see you in our next events. We actually have a data science fellowship review which will help you with your answering of the Pathfinder assessment, the free assessment. So we hope to see you there as well. We will send you the recording through email. And to learn more about us, I hope you guys can follow us here on Facebook, and you can ask us any burning questions as well. Well, thank you very much for your time, guys, and I hope you can eat very well and relax and rest this Thursday. Bye bye, everyone. Thank you.